You're learning more about the arrest of two men accused of ambushing and killing a rapper in
California.
The tragedy in the hip-hop industry is the constant killings of hip-hop musicians. This slaughter seems unstoppable. Let's remember the murdered artists from California who died between 1993 and 2024. Welcome to the top art legends. Charizma, murdered in 1993. The story of murders in California starts with Charles Edward Hicks Jr., also known by his stage name Charizma, an MC from Milpitas. In 1989, he met Peanut Butter Wolf, and the following year, they formed a duo. After signing with Hollywood Basic, Charizma and Peanut Butter Wolf recorded several tracks, but Hollywood Basic never released an album due to creative differences between the artist and the label. Charizma stated, "The stuff we wanted to do was not what Hollywood wanted. When we first got signed, they kept asking us for more and more songs. After we got signed, they were turning things down left and right. They were talking about bringing outside producers, but Pete Rock and CL Smooth never had outside producers. Gang Starr never did. It's like they almost liked the image of us more." However, despite this, the duo still gained their fans, and they regularly performed live in the Bay Area, toured Germany with label mates Raw Fusion, and were featured in Billboard magazine. On December 16, 1993, Charizma was driving to pick up his mother. He was at a traffic light in front of a church in East Palo Alto when a man approached him and shot him in the chest. The shooter was arrested the same day after being recognized by a preacher who was watering the lawn in front of the church.
No, definitely, man. What was he like as a person and as an artist working with him? I mean, Charizma was just fresh, like hip-hop, fully fresh. Like he had, the ill cars with the rims, he had the ill jewelry, flat top, all the ladies, money. Like everything that you thought a rapper would have, he had that shit early. And he had already been moving around like that before the record deal, so that when he got the record deal, that just enhanced the whole thing. Like he was made to rap. There was no question that, he was a star.
After Charizma's death, Peanut Butter Wolf went on to found Stone's Throw Records and released a posthumous album dedicated to his fallen friend, titled Peanut Butter Wolf and Charizma's Big Shots in 2003. DJ C, murdered in 1995, Vallejo's Cecil Allison, aka DJ C, was a prolific DJ, working with artists such as the Mac Dre, Mac Mall, Ray Love, Young Lay, and Young D Boys. "He was one of the best, and I could never remember him having a fight with anyone," said longtime partner River T, adding that, "He was a great DJ with a knack for finding exact beats and breaks for whatever he was working on." He was shot on August 29, 1995, after being mistaken for another DJ. This was a huge loss for his family and his Vallejo partners, such as River T and Kari. Mr. C, murdered in 1996. Hubert Kyle Church III, also known by his stage name Mr. C, joined forces with Hunters Point resident Chris Black C. Matthews to form the pioneering San Francisco rap group R.B.L. Posse, later joined by Hitman. Mr. C had the confidence of a veteran in his delivery. He was comfortable rapping at both fast and slow tempos, and he possessed strong lyrical skills, even as a teenager. Before R.B.L. Posse achieved success, San Francisco was often considered a second-rate rap city, overshadowed by East Bay rappers like Tupac Shakur, Too Hort, and Digital Underground. The pot-smoking anthem, "Don't Give Me No Bammer," became a local radio hit months before R.B.L. Posse released their debut album, A Lesson to Be Learned, in 1992. However, the potential for cool rap in San Francisco was tragically cut short after Mr. C's brutal murder on New Year's Day, 1996. His body was found in the Hunters Point section of San Francisco, covered in blood from 9 gunshot wounds. For Black C, this was a huge loss. When that happened, it kind of killed me too. It was like a punch to the stomach. That shit was bad.
I lost a lot of people, but I never lost somebody that close to me. You know, that close, like where it was with me, like every day. It was just different. You know, it was, man, it was a blow. It was a blow.
The murder remains unsolved.
Hitman get in the car, I was like, hey, you gonna ride with me? Like, yeah, he get in the car. He walk up the street, go hang out with my sister. My sister sitting there with him. They sitting there, wave off to him and get to, by the time I made it to Oakland, they ran up on him, broad daylight, you know what I mean? Shot him 9 times. Yeah.
Despite growing up surrounded by gangs and violence, Mr. C never imagined his life would end this way. He always focused on school and rap. Black C was the hustler. I was the one on the block, Black C says. I was the one gang banging and doing all the slanging. That ain't where Mr. C came from. He used to just be in the house, listening to jazz and rappers like Master Ace and Cool G Rap. He was into the lyrical dudes. Seagram, murdered in 1996.
Terminator, murder, revolutioner.
Seagram Miller was an American rapper from Oakland who broke the mold of gangster and street rappers. While his material reflected his life on the streets, he was also considered one of the best freestyle rappers in the area. Seagram released 2 albums that were polar opposites. The Dark Roads, 1992, was hard-edged and violent, filled with stories of wrongdoing and a dark lifestyle in the ghetto, with mysterious references to satanic worship. In contrast, his 1994 album, Reality Check, had a laid-back West Coast vibe. The first attempt on Seagram's life occurred in 1993 after his song, The Vill, angered a drug lord from Oakland. A few drug dealers from his hometown's 69th Avenue neighborhood sent their hitmen to kill the rapper in retaliation. Miller managed to escape unharmed from both shooters. However, on July 31st, 1996, Seagram was fatally shot after an unknown assailant ambushed him and his friend, rapper Gangsta P, in East Oakland, an area known for violence and drug trafficking. Seagram and his friend had just exited their van when shots were fired. Seagram tried to shield his friend. Gangsta P was rushed to the hospital with serious injuries, but Seagram sadly succumbed to multiple gunshot wounds in the hospital. His murder remains unsolved.
Sig was doing Sig. He had the record deal, he had the money, he had the fame, but Sig was an Oakland dude through and through. So he felt that, I tried to get him to move plenty of times, man. Why don't you move, whatever, you know what I mean? He didn't, he wanted to be in Oakland because he loved his people. He loved the community, and he wanted to be in Oakland. It wasn't no other place he'd rather be than Oakland. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. He was pimping and doing. He had like 8 hoes on the track. He was out there doing what he was doing. He was making moves, and people seeing him there, they was like, they looking at him like, oh, he's a money man. Let's take his money, or let's try to get at him. You know what I mean, like that, because they know he didn't leave the neighborhood. He didn't abandon.
Legendary Tupac Shakur, murdered in 1996.
Let it go back to when we played as kids, but then changed.
One of the most famous rappers in the world, Tupac Shakur, was from Los Angeles, and we couldn't leave him out of this story, even though he was killed in Las Vegas rather than in California cities. But his first assassination attempt took place in Los Angeles. Tupac started his music career as a rebel, aiming to express the current struggles and injustices faced by many African Americans. He succeeded in doing so, but tragically, on September 7th, 1996, Tupac was shot while returning from a boxing match at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas.
What was your last memory with Pac?
And Pac came to your fight?
Yes.
Oh, shit. He was really happy after the fight. We just talking a bunch of And then I went home, and then he left.
What did Pac mean to Mike Tyson?
Man, it's just it's very difficult to talk about. It's just a young kid that really wanted to be great, and that happened.
He was sitting in a black BMW sedan with Suge Knight, the head of his record label, when a white Cadillac pulled up alongside them and someone in the car fired at Tupac. Tupac was taken to the hospital, but after falling into a coma, he passed away on September 13th. Notorious B.I.G., murdered in 1997. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, the Notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls, was killed in Los Angeles, and we can't leave him out of this story either. The legendary Biggie Smalls became known for his unique, laid-back, lyrical delivery, which balanced the often grim content of his lyrics. In 1995, Wallace was named Rapper of the Year at the Billboard Music Awards.
And the #1 rap single of the year is One More Chance. From Brooklyn! Notorious B.I.G. Brooklyn!
While working on his second album in 1996, he became embroiled in the growing East Coast versus West Coast rivalry in hip-hop. On March 9th, 1997, 6 months after Tupac's death, Wallace was also murdered by an unknown assailant in Los Angeles during a drive-by shooting. Wallace's Suburban stopped at a red light, and a black Chevrolet Impala pulled up next to the passenger side of the vehicle. The driver of the Impala rolled down the window and fired at Biggie's car, hitting him with 4 bullets. He was rushed to the hospital where he received emergency care, but at 1:15 a.m., he was declared dead.
Walk us through those final moments.
We get out, Puff pull out first. We pull out behind him. He blow past the light. We stopped at the light. When we stopped at the light, I see some chicks like on the curb. Before you know it, a car just rolled up, start popping in the car. Just pop, 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 pop. Everybody got down in the truck. So that shit stopped. You know, we all hopped out. Everybody door open but big door. By that time, Puff his truck had came back around. Everybody was like, let's get in the car. And we just got in the car and just drove to the hospital. They take him in the hospital. I didn't go in there. And maybe about 20 minutes later, somebody called me in there. Forgot who it was. Told me to come inside. And they was like, yo, he didn't make it.
Dolla, murdered in 2009. Roderick Anthony Burton II, better known by his stage name Dolla, was another rapper murdered in California cities. Burton began his music career in 2003 with the hip-hop group Da Razkalaz Crew under the alias Bucklight. The group quickly disbanded, and Burton went on to model for Sean John's clothing line. In 2007, he signed a contract with Akon's Convict music label.
How many years were you working with him in total?
I was working with Dolla from maybe 2001, 2000, early 2000.
Working his career the whole time?
Yeah.
And was it reaching a high point around the time he got killed?
Hell yeah, we was number 65 on the Billboard chart with Who the Fuck Is That with T-Pain. We were number 2 on 106 in Park and probably gonna end up beating Bow Wow. You know, that's when Bow Wow was Mr. 106 in Park. You know what I'm saying? So hell yeah. And we had great records.
So how did a rapper from Atlanta end up in Los Angeles, where he was killed? Burton flew to Los Angeles to record the remaining tracks for his debut album, A Dolla and a Dream. On May 18th, 2009, the rapper was shot by Aubrey Lewis Berry during a confrontation outside a shopping mall. Later that evening, Berry, who was armed, was apprehended at Los Angeles International Airport. Berry claimed it was an act of self-defense. The argument began in Atlanta on May 7th, when Berry was beaten by a group of men, including Dolla, at a nightclub. In Los Angeles, according to Berry's lawyer, Dolla allegedly threatened Berry at a restaurant in the Beverly Center. When Barry stepped outside, he saw Burton and two other men following him to his car. After a few words were exchanged, Barry believed Burton reached for a weapon, and in self-defense, Barry shot him 4 times. Burton died from a gunshot wound to the chest. A few days later, Barry was charged with the murder, although he did not plead guilty. Barry's lawyer argued that Dolla had connections to the Mansfield Gangster Crips, a West Los Angeles street gang, attempting to paint Dolla as a ruthless thug rather than a victim. The lawyer even used Dolla's lyrics and music videos to support this claim. Prosecutors argued that any connection between Dolla and the gang had no relevance to the case, emphasizing that his music was simply entertainment and part of a culture where violence sells records. However, the jury acquitted Barry of all charges. However, it seemed more like a senseless act of revenge than self-defense.
This person who made a choice to take my son away, they didn't just take my son, he ruined his life. He ruined his own life by killing my son. Those are 2 boys.
Dolla was a promising rapper. His publicist Sue Vanessing said, "He was being hyped as the next Tupac. He chose music to get off the streets." Earl Hayes, murdered in 2014.
Reckless life we living, getting money is a given.
You might find it strange that rapper Earl Hayes made it onto the list of those murdered, as in his case, it was technically a suicide. However, this still qualifies as a murder. Rapper Earl Hayes was signed to Mayweather's record label, Filthy Rich Records, and they were also friends. It was revealed that Mayweather became a witness to Hayes' murder and suicide. Hayes called him on FaceTime and said he intended to kill his wife, Stephanie Mosley, a professional dancer who had toured with famous artists like Britney Spears and Chris Brown.
My best friend called me on FaceTime. We was talking a little bit. He put Stephanie on the phone. I talked to her, and I could tell that they looked like they both were doing drugs and drinking real heavy. I could tell they'd been up all night. They was talking. I heard the bath water running. He put it on FaceTime. He got back on the phone. I said, "Why you calling me so early in the morning? How you know I'm up?" He said, "Because I love you." And he said, "There's something else you don't know." And then I was like, "Huh?" And then he reached down and put out a gun. I said, "Man, what are you doing with that gun?" He started shooting. Then he shot her. And then he put the gun to his head. And that's what it was. Then I had to bury my best friend.
Los Angeles. Police arrived at the Palazzo East Apartments at 7:30 a.m. after residents reported hearing a woman scream and up to 10 gunshots. When police arrived, they heard 2 more shots, prompting the SWAT team to be called. They discovered 2 people with gunshot wounds, Earl Hayes and Stephanie Mosley. The initial investigation led authorities to conclude that Hayes had killed his wife before taking his own life. Stephanie Mosley's friend and trainer commented on the tragedy. "Whatever happened behind those doors, we'll never know," he said. "But I heard out of her own mouth he never raised a hand on her. This is kind of stunning." The Jacka, murdered in 2015. Shahid Akbar, better known by his stage name the Jacka, started his career as part of the rap group Mob Figaz. In 2001, he released his first solo album, The Jacka of the Mob Figaz, which sold over 30,000 copies. In 2009, his third album, Tear Gas, dropped, and his track Glamorous Lifestyle quickly became a classic in the Bay Area. The Jacka was also the owner of his own record label, The Artist Records, until his untimely death. On February 2nd, 2015, the Jacka was tragically shot in East Oakland while rapping with friends in a van and enjoying the evening. "He was just making music," Reggie Grant, who described himself as Jacka's godbrother, told NBC Bay Area. "Bullets don't have no name. I don't know who did it," he continued. "He had problems with nobody. He'd give you his shoes off his feet. He gave jobs to lots of people." Nipsey Hussle, murdered in 2019.
Was you born in the 80s? Did your mama smoke coke?
Ermias Joseph Asghedom, known as Nipsey Hussle, was an American rapper, entrepreneur, and activist. Hussle independently released his debut mixtape Slossin' Boy Volume 1, which led to contracts with Cinematic Music Group and Epic Records. Although there was a long delay in releasing new albums, his 2018 studio album Victory Lap was not only well received by all, but also earned a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Album. His 2019 single Racks in the Middle, and his guest appearance alongside John Legend on DJ Khaled's song Higher, won Best Rap Performance and Best Rap Sung Performance at the Grammy Awards. In addition to music, Hussle opened his own clothing store, Marathon Clothing. However, his success in music and business was interrupted on March 31st, 2019. Nipsey Hussle was shot dead outside his clothing store in South Los Angeles. The killer was Eric Ronald Holder Jr. The two were part of the same gang, the Rollin' 60s, and when Nipsey Hussle called Holder a snitch, it enraged him. Holder left and returned with a gun and shot the rapper.
I'm here to say that his murder has had a devastating and tremendous impact still to this day on our community. Not only was Nipsey a Grammy award-winning hip-hop artist, he was much more than that. He was a philanthropist, an entrepreneur, business person, mentor, role model. He was a hero to many young people in the Crenshaw area, but also throughout the nation. When he was murdered, his death struck a chord with many. So with that, Your Honor, I would respectfully ask that Eric Holder be sentenced to the maximum sentence possible, especially due to the fact that he has never apologized, never shown any remorse for what.
In addition to shooting Hazel at least 10 times, Holder kicked the rapper in the head before fleeing. Holder was found guilty and sentenced to 60 years in prison. Pop Smoke, murdered in 2020. Bashar Jackson, known as Pop Smoke, was one of the first rappers from Brooklyn to use UK drill beats. While he wasn't the first New York artist to adopt UK drill, he certainly made the genre his own and brought the Brooklyn drill scene to international prominence. His debut mixtape, Meet the Woo, was released in July 2019. His second mixtape, Meet the Woo 2, was released on February 7th, 2020, debuting at number 7 on the Billboard 200 chart, marking his first top 10 project in the United States. So, why is the Brooklyn rapper on our list? Pop Smoke traveled to Los Angeles to celebrate the release of his second album and promote it. He rented a house through Airbnb, which was owned by the Real Housewives star Teddy Mellencamp and her husband, Edwin Arroyav, in Hollywood Hills, California. On February 19th, around 4:30 a.m., at least 4 men wearing hoodies broke into the house through a second-floor balcony, one of them carrying a gun. Pop Smoke had posted on social media pictures showing large amounts of cash, luxury cars, and designer items, which likely led to the robbery. He also shared posts on Facebook and Instagram featuring designer bags, and the packaging of these items included the full address of the house he was renting. This made it easier for the robbers to locate him. In the house, there was not only Pop Smoke, but also his girlfriend and friends. However, the robbers confronted Pop Smoke specifically, and he was in the shower at the time. They barged in, demanding expensive jewelry, but Pop tried to resist. When he ran out of the bathroom, shots were fired, and he was hit in the chest, leading to his death. The robbers only stole his Rolex, which they later sold for $2,000.
Say that you guys robbed Pop Smoke for a watch and y'all pawned it for $2,000. So with that being said, it was 4 of y'all split 4 ways. That's $500. Was it worth it?
No, it wasn't worth it. Nothing's worth another person's life.
In July of the same year, 5 suspects were arrested, 2 of whom were minors. It was later revealed that Pop Smoke was shot by a 15-year-old boy at the time. In May 2021, the 15-year-old attacker reportedly confessed to the murder of Pop Smoke in an interview with a cellmate at a juvenile detention center. The second minor, who was 16 at the time, had his case resolved and also ended up in juvenile detention. The only adult suspect is awaiting sentencing, and a new trial for them began in January 2025. Slim 400, killed in 2021. Vincent Slim 400. Corin was born in Germany, but his father was in the military, so they moved to Los Angeles. In 2008, 20-year-old Corin met fellow rappers and Bloods gang members Keenan Daquan, YG, Ray Jackson, and Dijon Isaiah Mustard McFarlane. A year later, with their help, he released his first mixtape, High Off Trees. In total, he released 7 studio albums. Slim 400 was most known for features on YG songs, such as Word is Bond and Twist My Fingers. On December 8, 2021, Corin was shot on the 8600 block of 7th Avenue at around 7:50 p.m. Police patrolling the area heard gunshots and found the wounded rapper on the ground. He was given first aid and rushed to the hospital, where, unfortunately, his death was confirmed. After news of his death broke, many people expressed their respect for the murdered rapper. R.I.P. Slim 400, the Passion of the Weiss blog, posted on Twitter. A Compton gangsta rap prototype, an ambassador for a tradition, lineage, and history, who made a whole lot of hard-as-hell rap songs full of sober gravity and blunt force. In the summer of 2024, Slim's killer, Michael Lannell Terry, was sentenced to 32 years in prison. He pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter following their argument. Drakeo the Ruler, killed in 2021. Daryl Wayne Caldwell, known as Drakeo the Ruler, spent much of his youth in correctional facilities and became interested in music as a way to escape the traps of street life. He became known for his unique, oddly expressive, poetic word choices, which led the Los Angeles Times to call him the most original West Coast stylist in decades. His first mixtape, I Am Mr. Mosley, was released in 2015 and pioneered a jerky, polyrhythmic sound he called nervous music. His 2021 single, Talk to Me, featuring Drake, entered the bubbling Under Hot 100 chart.
Close your eyes. 15 brothers, no friends when...
Drakeo the Ruler also had more than 1.5 million monthly listeners on Spotify. On December 18th, 2021, Caldwell was fatally stabbed backstage during the Once Upon a Time in LA festival. His mother reported that Caldwell, his brother, and their entourage were attacked by about 40 to 60 men wearing masks just as YG arrived at the festival grounds. He was stabbed in the neck and was rushed to the hospital, but sadly, he died from the knife wounds. When news of the incident backstage broke, the headliners of the festival canceled their performances. Snoop Dogg tweeted that he was in my dressing room when I was informed about the incident and chose to immediately leave the festival grounds. He added, "My condolences go out to the family and loved ones of Drakeo the Ruler," and said, "I'm praying for peace in hip-hop." Later, the entire festival was canceled. As word of the rapper's death spread, other performers also paid tribute. Always picked my spirit up with your energy. R.I.P. Drakeo. Drake wrote on his Instagram stories. Earl Swavey, killed in 2022. Earl Swavey, born Earl Hatton, started rapping at an early age and released his first mixtape, Business Before Pleasure, in 2013. He always cited 50 Cent and Rick Ross as his main inspirations. A$AP Yams heard Hatton's track, Beef, from his 2013 mixtape and offered to collaborate with him, becoming his mentor. In 2014, they appeared together on the song Ooza Trick, produced by London Drugs, a music duo consisting of Worthy and producer Sean House. In 2015, A$AP Yams passed away from a drug overdose. Earl opened up about how Yams' death deeply affected him. It hurts a lot, because I recently talked to him 2 days before he passed. Out of all of the members of A$AP, Yams was really like a brother to me. He would send me Christmas gifts and always look out for my mom and ask if she needed anything. I could call him any time, and he would always answer, no matter what. I definitely gained some wisdom from him. On January 9th, 2022, Earl Swavey was tragically shot while driving, with several passengers in the car. After being shot, he crashed into a parked RV, and a copper bullet became lodged in his heart. A blunt force head injury from the collision was also a contributing factor to his death. The shooting was believed to be gang-related, though further details were not disclosed. His peers paid tribute to him on Twitter. Vince Staples led tributes to Swavey, writing, "Rest in peace to the great Earl Swavey." PnB Rock, killed in 2022. Rakim Hashim Allen, known professionally as PnB Rock, signed with Atlantic Records and gained recognition with his 2016 hit single, Selfish. It became his first entry on the Billboard Hot 100 and earned a triple platinum certification from the RIAA. His debut studio album, Catch These Vibes, 2017, peaked at number 17 on the charts, while his second album, Trap Star Turned Pop Star, 2019, reached number 4.
PnB Rock's success was based upon the one thing that very few people are able to do: rise from the ashes and make the negativity in his life turn.
However, another promising rapper was tragically killed. On September 12th, 2022, Rakim was having lunch with his girlfriend at Roscoe's House of Chicken and Waffles in South Los Angeles. His girlfriend made the mistake of posting a photo on Instagram, tagging their location. The killer, who was also a robber, initially showed a weapon and demanded jewelry and other valuables before engaging in a struggle with the rapper and opening fire.
His love of expensive jewelry. As the money poured in, the rapper often showed off the rewards by posting to social media, mostly highlighting his love for expensive jewelry.
No, PnB on top. Yeah.
A love that would ultimately cost him his life.
Rakim was rushed to the hospital but sadly died from his injuries. 3 suspects were arrested, including Freddie Lee Trone and his 17-year-old son. Initially, Freddie denied that he had instructed his teenage son to carry out the murder, claiming he was merely an accomplice after the crime. However, in August 2024, Freddie Trone was found guilty on all counts, including first-degree murder, robbery, and conspiracy. Kee Riches, killed in 2022.
You just like it when we kissing and hugging.
Kee Riches was a passionate athlete from Compton who began rapping at the age of 15 to 16. He was also the founder of a clothing brand and a record label called Get Rich. Always dedicated to developing his community, he once said, "A lot of people always tell me like I set myself apart by helping my community. Like you don't really see a lot of artists and young men coming up really trying to give back or help their community when they don't really have nothing. I have something, so I want to give something." Riches was known for providing backpacks to children in the summer before school started and donating toys during Christmas. He was often compared to Nipsey Hussle, who was tragically killed in 2019, and Kee regretted never getting the chance to meet him. Nipsey Hussle was the embodiment of a street soldier, a real hustler. As a man, as a father, as a hustler, he was that man. Kee Riches was an up-and-coming star in the music industry, gaining recognition for several of his songs, including his latest album, Easy Money 2. On September 24, 2022, Kee Riches was shot near the 1500 block of South Chester Avenue in Compton. He was accompanied by another man who also succumbed to his injuries, and a woman who fortunately survived. An investigation was launched, but as of now, no suspects have been identified. TanDaGod, killed 2024. Aliauna Green, known as TanDaGod, was an emerging rapper from Oakland. In August 2021, she released the album The Called, followed by Unprecedented and Unprecedented Vol. 2 in March 2023. She had over 24,000 followers on Instagram and more than 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, as well as monthly listeners on Spotify. She was well known in the community for her support of Black entrepreneurs, and the new owners of a store invited her to celebrate its grand opening. She posted that she would be attending the opening on July 13th at 12 p.m. and would be meeting fans at the location. On the same day, July 13th, 2024, the rapper was shot outside the Glamour Beauty Supply on Telegraph Avenue in Oakland. She was rushed to the hospital, but tragically, she passed away. She was performing there, and this guy with a hood just walked in through that gate and started shooting. Sul Cho, owner of a nearby barbecue restaurant, said at the time of the shooting. 5 days later, the first suspect, Dominic Gates, known by his rap alias BNC4 Nero, was arrested. Gates already had 3 criminal convictions. The prosecution charged him with murder, but the police have yet to release any details regarding the motive behind the killing. Her death was a loss not only for her family and fans, but also for the music community. "This really broke my heart," rapper Seminary Tiff wrote on Instagram. "Oakland is not safe." Mr. F.A.B. Prince of Oakland's hyphy scene recognized TanDaGod for having a world of ambition, drive and courage, and a heart big as Texas in an Instagram post. Half Ounce, killed in 2024. Half Ounce, whose real name was Latorisha O'Brien, had previously portrayed a gangster lifestyle in his music, social media, and videos, such as his single Roll Call. He frequently displayed his affiliation with the Pyrus and Blood street gangs in his art. However, starting in 2020, he decided to leave the street life behind to focus on his rap career. His wife revealed that he worked at UPS to support his family while also recording new music. O'Brien's mother shared with KTLA that he was studying heating and air conditioning at UEI College, intending to start his own business.
What inspired you to get into the music industry?
That's what I always, wanted to do. That was my passion, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? But then I started messing with exhibits, so, you know what I mean? So after that, that's what he really,
On October 3rd, 2024, O'Brien had pulled up to a curb near his Koreatown apartment. He was in the car with a friend, and they did not notice a dark SUV parking right behind them. As they got out of the car and headed toward the apartment, they didn't see the same SUV do a U-turn, drive past them, and park. A passenger from the SUV got out, seemingly hiding behind another car. This was an ambush in which the killer made sure O'Brien saw his face before firing a point-blank shot. O'Brien died at the scene. 2 men were arrested, Anthony King and Dennis Risinger.
Arrests have been announced in the shooting death of a local rapper. 2 men have been charged with murder in the death of rapper Half Ounce back in October. Anthony King and Dennis Risinger.
O'Brien and King were once friends. However, in the summer of 2022, everything changed around the time when Half Ounce released the single Gangbangin'. According to O'Brien's mother, the rapper asked King to drive him to the mall, where she was waiting for him. She told detectives that when she met her son, he had between $50,000 and $60,000 in cash and was wearing expensive jewelry. On the way back, a robbery occurred. The thief demanded all of the rapper's money, and King suggested it was better to give up the jewelry, as life is worth more. After that, they began having verbal arguments on Instagram, and we see how it ended. Unfortunately, at the end of this story, there is some certainty that this young man's death will not be the last. Who needs this war, these senseless murders, these horrific losses? Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell. You can also write a comment in the comment section down below. See you later on the Top Art Legends.